Guess who's losing their job? By user extremes. Short answer, it's me. This happened today. Let me tell you a short story. Our company is currently undergoing migration from Google Workspace to Me 365 because half of the company either use Google or Microsoft. My boss wants to use only one system. I was doing migration of one phone because we use Google device policy, and apparently the only way to get rid of it is to reinstall the whole phone. So I had one empty phone where I would transfer all the data and then factory reset the phone with device policy. After this, transfer all the data back to the original Android phone without device policy. After I've wiped the original phone, I've also accidentally wiped the second phone, where was all the data waiting to be transferred back. So that means that I've lost all the phone data for the user and there was no backup. Photos, documents, contacts, messages, tufas, all gone. Whoopsie. I was asked by my boss if I can help with the migration, and I said yes, even when my main role is web dev. I wanted to help the company. Now I'm the biggest idiot in the IT department. Hey boss, I fixed the issue. Great, did that fix the issue? By user Scorpius 187. To make sense of this story, I have to give an unfortunately long amount of backstory. A few months ago, we replaced one of our FedEx label printers because it was printing faded labels constantly over multiple boxes of labels. Everything was too light. It was basically unreadable. These are Zebra ZM400s, which are solid printers, but they're old as hell. The ones we're using have been in use since at least 2010. On my recommendation, we bought 2 updated versions of the same printer. We have 2 print stations, so I figured it'd be smarter to just go ahead and replace both. And I installed one of them at the station where the failing printer was. There were some minor issues, but everything got sorted out and was working fine. A couple weeks ago, the new printer started doing the same thing the old one was doing. The woman who's technically my boss has been on my ass to fix it. So today I finally gave in and followed her solution, which was to replace the printer because obviously the new one you made us buy is broken, so we should just send it back. It should be noted that my boss is the company's accountant, Justin Fee. It should also be noted that while the warehouse guys were cleaning out some old equipment in the warehouse, they found an old label printer like the one we had before that was still new in the box. My boss has been trying to get me to use it ever since. So this morning I configured the replacement printer to get it ready to swap in. Everything worked fine. Labels were dark and crisp and easily readable. I was testing it at a different station. So after I tested it, I moved it over to the station where it needed to be. Did a test print and the labels looked exactly the same as they did on the broken printer, faded and unreadable, and I swapped out the labels. Everything looked great again. Turns out the box of labels was bad. Important note. These are direct thermal printers, so really the only part of the equation that should be a failure point is the labels. I already knew that, but nobody would listen to me until I proved it. It's almost like they think I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so I emailed my boss and let her know. This is word for word what I sent her. The printer wasn't the problem. It was the box of labels. Switched out the printer and had the exact same issue. Switched out the labels and everything was fine. It's not a problem with the printer. So I would keep the new one we've already unboxed since it's working fine and send the one we haven't opened yet back. This is the exact response I get back. Good to know. Curious, did this help to make the order numbers more legible? No, it didn't. I'm just telling you the problem is fixed for the fucking hell of it. An unfunny number. By user Rs Torok. I am a manager of a support center. Today, I got a complaint from a client. In a very curt email, the owner of 2 stores tells me that my staff is intentionally confusing his staff and intentionally making our product difficult to use. So they get annoyed, stop calling, and give you all free money. In our system, we can identify callers by 4 things. The name of the business, the city the business is in, the client's store number, if applicable, and then our own internal number, which our best clients thankfully write down somewhere. If this fails, we can fall back on their address or other info to track them down. And herein lies the problem. In this case, the client owns 2 storefronts in the same city. They each have a unique store number chosen by the client. In this case, 1246 and 1249. So in our system, the locations are listed as business name, Springfield, 1246, item 123,456, and business name, Springfield, 1249. item 123,457. Since both locations were boarded at the same time, their internal numbers are consecutive. When we did the initial product installation, the owner gave us remote access to both locations and insisted on doing them simultaneously. Both the staff of both locations could be present for training before they opened for business that day. He insisted that we have 2 teams do the installation at the same time, and 1 trainer do the training for everyone on one big call together. This led to our initial problem. The owner gave us the wrong information on each store. It turns out that the numbers are reversed. We thought we were in location 1246, but it was 1249, and likewise, the tech installing 1249 was really in 1246. The employees move freely between locations as they are needed, with only management being truly fixed in place. So this was not caught for a day or so after training. The codes were quickly reversed and all was well. However, we run into the same issue every time they call. Tech support, this is Up speaking. Can I have your store name and number?
Yes, this is manager with business name. Great. And is this location 1246 or 1246 or 1249?
We are the one in Springfield. Yes, there are 2 locations in Springfield. Could I get your address? Oh yeah, there is 2. It's the downtown one. Note, both of them are the downtown one. Okay, could you tell me the street number of your address? I'm not sure, but we are Suite 100. Again, both are Suite 100 in their respective buildings. This game continues on every time, as we try everything from device serial numbers to who the manager is on site to all sorts of things. Inevitably, the caller gets frustrated and just keeps saying the words business name and Springfield over and over, as if it will somehow help tell them apart. We have even had times where we have trained a manager to know the location's unique internal ID number, only for them to then use it at the other store on a day they are working over there. It's not every time. Sometimes you get someone who remembers, or is at least patient enough to give us info to tell them apart. If we are lucky and they are calling from the business landline, we can use that. But most folks use their personal phones. However, the owner continues to insist that this is our fault somehow, and that he will not train the staff to say anything different than business name in Springfield. How I fixed an old and obsolete eye imaging device a hospital wouldn't dispose. I used their Spark mic. The machine is a Stratus Oct 3000. It has a system unit with a Windows 2 Pro 4 512 GB RAM and a 4GB DVD in the optical drive as added storage. This controls the main imaging apparatus. The issue was that the imaging software wouldn't open the UI because it fails to connect to its database. First, I'd like to say that I'm a self-taught technician, so there's no way I was fit to fix this machine from Carl Zeiss, running proprietary software. Anyways, I decided to try a hand at it. The hospital had called like 7 or so database specialists since Carl Zeiss told them they quit support for the machine in 2008. I arrive and everyone is on their laptops researching and reading the manual. I take the captain's seat and start exploring. I then find myself in Control Panel and Spot Interbase Manager. Opening it shows that there are 0 servers running and 0 databases. Apparently the other guys didn't get to it before because they dropped everything to focus on my explorational progress. We figured out it runs on School. I don't know Squee, so they immediately start copying the various schemas we found. We all leave that night without any progress, but the hospital staff say that I've made the most progress since they started bringing technicians. I spend days researching, and I find out. Carl Zeiss weren't helpful. There were no such issues online, so I had to resort to contacting various personnel from hospitals that had similar equipment. Even companies that sold them, but none were familiar with the matter or could help. I then resort to looking for the company that made Interbase, but they had rebranded twice. They happen to support the Interbase version 7.1 that we have, but they wouldn't assist us since the machine is outdated. I said, to hell with it. I'll try creating a new database because I always wanted to explore the eConsole program I saw a few weeks back when I was there. I created a new server and database, but couldn't populate the domain, tables, etc. tabs, although iManager recognized the database, but the imaging software still wouldn't load the database. The hospital later called me saying Carl Zeiss sent someone all the way there to fix it and that I should also go. I then find him scrolling the company troubleshooting manuals for the machine, which weren't of any help because they implied we reboot the machine. I proceed to tell him of my progress. Stunned by what I did, he saw the only option now was to reinstall the imaging software, which he had a copy of. It still wouldn't load the database until after I created a new server and database from a database file I spotted in a folder named Backup in the DV drawer. I'm not sure if reinstalling the imaging software helped, but I'm glad we met with the guy because he expressed his respects and took my number, and that made me happy. Told her. A noob and an obsolete Stratus Oct imaging device that failed to load you because of an error loading database. But I finally fixed it by creating a new SCLU database using a tool for an outdated database management program. Tighten up your V guy. By user Pooperpally, this is the first time I've actually posted something on here. Sorry if it's not quite in keeping with what people post here. For context, I go to school in the UK and I've helped my teachers with technology many times over the years. This story takes place in a physics lesson. I'm sitting in class and notice the projector is making a very yellow picture. And I ask the teacher if he has any idea why, and he says that he has already asked it for a new bulb. Suddenly, I feel a sense of déjà vu. I have fixed this before. When I was much younger and still in infant school, look it up. A teacher had a projector producing a blue-tinted picture, but I had noticed that the menus of the projector looked suspiciously normal. I proceeded to push the VGA connector fully in, and surprise, the projector wasn't broken. Back in the present, I pushed the VGA connector back fully into the rear of the CC, and another projector is fixed. The moral of this story, always tighten up your VGA connectors, folks.